On Overdrive this week, Jamshed compares top-of-the-line diesels of the A6 and 5 Series families. Auto selector with Bert and on the line with Siddharth Lal in an unusual setting. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Shireen Bhan. Diesel executive luxury saloons have found newfound importance in the Indian car market, which is why most car manufacturers are rolling out diesel variants. In fact, it's the diesel variants that are bailing out luxury car makers in times of turmoil. So if you are a driving enthusiast and you're looking for a German diesel variant, then stay glued to your seats for the next 9 minutes because we'll tell you what you should get your hands on.
Since many years now, the German trio of executive luxury saloons, the 5, the E and the A6, have created a benchmark segment. We've had many comparos of the three, with each generation, variant and engine option. In fact, the very first episode of Overdrive ever was a comparo between the three. And today we've got two of them with us in one of their many iterations. And we are at it again.
Now, since diesels are gaining more and more importance in India, even in this executive luxury saloon segment, we've got diesels today and we've got them top of the line. So you have the BMW 530d M Sport variant and the Audi A6 3-litre TDI Quattro. We've got a hell of a battle on our hands today.
I've maintained that the E60 was my favorite design amongst all generations of the 5 Series, and its successor, the current generation, whilst a more pronounced and aggressive design, just isn't quite as elegant and charming as the previous generation. Having said that, it is still very new age and has more going on in terms of character and definition lines than its nemesis today. BMW's headlamp cluster is like an excellent party trick, as the BMW edged corona rings are almost invisible from the side profile. The Audi A6 is a more stately and graceful design, especially that front end with a large grille and that beautiful LED headlamp cluster. From the side profile and the rear though, the A6 looks like it's been around for a while and needs a resketch. And more importantly, a drastic change from the Volkswagen family design philosophy. But then again, just maybe, just like in the case of the 5 Series, the future A6 might not be as handsome as this generation. We've been critical of BMW's simplistic interiors of late, but surprisingly, the new 5 Series interiors are definitely more modish and in vogue. When compared, the A6, which used to be a benchmark in interior design, seems just a bit dated. This just shows how fast design, both exterior and interior, needs to be updated these days. Of course, build quality, fit and finish is impeccable in both these flagship saloons, and they are heavily matched even in terms of features offered on these top-end variants. But for the first time in recent times, we'd rather be on the insides of the BMW than the Audi.
Both these engines are equally matched in terms of numbers. They're both 3-litre 6-cylinder turbo diesels. BMW is an inline 6, whereas the Audi is a V6. Now, the BMW makes about 15 PS more of max power and about 60 Nm more of max torque than the Audi, but the Audi is lighter thanks to an aluminium composite construction. The M Sport variant of the BMW gets launch control, whereas the Audi gets Quattro's all-wheel drive system. So which one's quicker to a quarter mile? That's just one way of finding out.
530d edges past the A6 3-litre TDI with a 0 to 100 time of 5.9 seconds, while the Audi follows 0.3 of a second later. The BMW straight 6 also outperforms the Audi's V6 in a quarter mile and braking tests, which makes the Bimmer the outright stronger performer of the two. Although the Audi does score higher on the refinement and in-cabin noise isolation, while the 530d just sounds a bit noisier of the two, especially beyond 3000 RPM.
We all want performance, but these are diesels. Now, us Indians buy diesels because they're efficient and cheaper to run. Now, both these cars are oriented towards efficiency. They both get start-stop systems and regenerative braking. But the BMW gets an additional Eco Pro mode, which you've seen on a lot of BMWs these days, even on the 1 Series. What this mode does is it optimizes everything for better efficiency. The gear shift points, the throttle responses, even the air conditioning. And that just might be the decisive factor, as the BMW gave us 12.4 kilometers to the litre as opposed to the Audi's 10 kilometers to the litre. So the BMW is not just a better performer, it's more efficient as well. But I just don't think it deserves this M badge. Now what you associate with the M is something that the 530D just doesn't have, even though this is the M Sport variant. Well, time to swap then. The Audi's Quattro system not just gets it off the line quick, but also helps it negotiate corners in a rather short-footed manner. BMW, on the other hand, comes as a bit of a surprise to me. Usually, BMW score rather highly in the handling department, but the steering on the 530D is just too light, and at high speeds it can get you anxious. Although when you're driving around in the city, both these steering systems are very user-friendly, they're responsive and precise, but I think I'm going to have to get in the back of this car to see how this car scores against the BMW in the ride department. For that, I'm going to take Rashad's help. The Audi has smaller 17-inch rims with high-profile tires, which kind of helps it in the ride quality department as opposed to the BMW, which has the M Sports variant, so it gets sportier low-profile tires for better grip. But that compromises the ride quality. Now the Audi's air suspension also feels better set up than the BMW's. Audi also gets ride height adjustment. Not that most of the speed breakers will bother either of the two, but it's just that for the nasty ones you can increase the height in the Audi. So I think in the ride quality department, the Audi gets a 1-up.
So we've done our testing, and ladies and gentlemen, there's no knockout here. These two have traded blows in all the rounds, and this one's going to the judges' scorecards. So brace yourself, the verdict. So once again we find ourselves in this confused state. How do we pick a winner? Now the A6 has been a segment benchmark for a while now, but the new 5 Series is a huge leap forward. But we do have a winner. You see, it all boils down to these particular variants. There's no question that if you weren't interested in driving, you'd probably pick the smaller and more efficient 520D or the A6 2-litre TDI without the Quattro. But these are driver's diesels, which is why the 530D just races past the older A6, thanks to that brilliant engine and the newer upgrades. Now Mercedes does not have a direct rival to these cars as of now in the Indian car market, and until Audi upgrades the A6, the 530D is the daddy of the diesel duel.
Well, Mercedes has been fairly aggressive with its product launches, and the diesel E350 should be making its way to India soon. In fact, the Audi A6 is up for an upgrade as well, and we can't wait to pit the three against each other in due course. But on that note, it's time for a break. But if you are a motorcycle enthusiast, then come right back to Overdrive, because we have a very special guest riding the Royal Enfield GT through the streets of Goa. You're watching Overdrive.